Hello, everybody. Thank you for clicking on. It is the what 27th day of February 2024, the day of the Michigan primary. We're going to talk about that briefly coming up here to begin with, and then we're going to get into part two of is Scientology, Amway with aliens, and I noticed I have labeled it wrong. I'll fix that in post production. Again, hello, everybody. Thank you for clicking on. And if you do happen to be a have some affiliation with Scientology, the link is up at the top. And let me know in the comments that you do, and we will bring you up when we talk about Scientology. Again, I'm not in any way, shape, or form an expert in Scientology. I um, I am aware of one person um, that has been involved in Scientology, and that person has always feared coming on here and talking with me. Um, I'm not sure why. I think maybe it's because I actually have like journalistic background, and he claimed the journalism title. Excellent documentarian, by the way. Excellent camera guy. But anyway, so chances are um, we won't have anybody up here unless somebody just randomly happens to come by because of the title and um, has some experiences they wish to talk about, or will come up and let me ask some questions. But we're going to touch on part two. We're going to touch on Scientology. It's a deep hole, and would take a deep dive and many episodes to unravel the entire thing. But we're going to give you part two. Um, we did part one already, and go back and watch that if you haven't seen it. Also, Lori Arnold was in Austin, Texas, when they were reopening a Scientology center there this past weekend, and she's got four videos up, I believe. So you can go back and check those. And plus, we're going to give you some other sites to go to learn. Hello, not going away. Thank you for being here. Hello, Guy. Thank you for being here. Thank everybody for watching. If you're watching at your convenience, let me get my mic down here. If you're watching at your convenience, which most people do, thank you for watching. If you're watching live, feel free to jump in the chat if you have a comment or a question or concern, or just say hi. It's a fairly, it's not a subscriber only chat or anything like that. And we do appreciate everybody in the chat. Speaking of appreciation, before I get into tonight's episode, um, our last episode last night, um, the first 10 to 12, 15 minutes of the episode was about IVF, in vitro fertilization. Um, I've had some comments on it. People thought that was an excellent segment, and I want to thank Pink Flamingo for coming up and sharing expertise with us on a subject that is in the news and maybe not everybody knows about. So I want to say thank you to Pink Flamingo for coming up. Of course, Chris came on last night. We had an excellent episode, as we always do. He'll be back tomorrow night at 9, Wednesday night. And again, we'll have the link up if you want to come up and join in the conversation tomorrow night. So, hi, Nancy McMonarch. Thank you for being here. Hello, Lori Arnold. The rainbow unicorn. Um, we're gonna get through this, and I'm not gonna rush through it, but I'm not going to have a whole lot of delay either. Um, we've got tornadoes potentially coming towards us here in south central and southern Indiana. Um, so I'm hoping it doesn't happen, but the the weather science is a lot better than it used to be. They already had some storms hit up in Chicago. Tornadoes on the ground west of Chicago earlier this evening, and Reed Timmer announced he was going to be in the area. And anytime Reed Timmer, Dr. Reed Timmer, severe weather expert, anytime that name is in, he's got what states he could be in. And if your state's one of those states, that's not going to be a good day for you necessarily. So, um, but at the moment, everything's fine, and I'm certain everything will be fine. But nonetheless, I don't want to have a bunch of electric equipment on if a major electric storm or tornadoes are heading towards us. So, with that being said, I will get started with tonight's episode. Oh, um, I want to make an announcement actually, and I was singing at the beginning of this. I was singing The Doors, "Hello, I Love You," and this has nothing to do with that, other than it has to do with a song and with music. Um, I've got a song coming out now. It's not. It's not me singing or playing music or anything like that. It's just my lyrics are going to be in a song by a group, female singer actually, and it's going to drop on the 19th of March, and hopefully I won't have to worry about paying rent. Hopefully it'll make enough to pay the rent once it comes out, and potentially others do as well. So I'm a little bit excited about that. I'm a little bit concerned until May, when I find out if it's going to pay off or not. But I'm kind of excited that that's going to drop on March 19th. So this is the announcement, a big announcement. I didn't put it in the title, but some exciting news potentially anyway. And you'll probably hear about that every episode until then. Maybe not, because I forget to say stuff like that, and stuff like, hit the subscribe, hit the like, hit the share. The more people that hit the like early, the better the algorithm is, even though, we've been suppressed basically since we started, because we talk about a lot of controversial things on here. But that's what, you know, that's what adults are supposed to do, I think, is discuss things that potentially going to impact them. And with that being said, let's discuss something that's going to potentially impact us. That is the Michigan primary. To no surprise, the polls closed at 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time about an hour and 12 minutes ago. And as soon as the polls closed, Donald Trump was declared the winner of the um, Republican primary, and Joseph R. Biden Jr. was declared the winner of the Democratic primary. So, no surprises. There are a couple of things. I do want to talk about and touch on. Um, in Michigan, there was a tremendous amount of money spent trying to get people to vote uncommitted, because Michigan has a very heavy Muslim population, and they were trying to send a message to Biden that uh, the administration's support of Netanyahu and Israel could cost him votes and potentially cost him the election. And they indeed got almost 15%, or at least as of right now, only 23% of the votes in, but they're running at 15%. When you add the other three and roughly three, you're looking at about 20 to 21% of the vote that said no to Biden in Michigan. Now let's look at the percentage of the Democratic or the Republican vote that has said no to Trump. You're looking at
28.3% from Nikki Haley alone saying no to Trump. So you've got, and then you got 2.7 uncommitted and 1.1 um, for Ron DeSantis, who hasn't been in the race in 6 weeks. Um, there are more in the Republican Party. There are more Republican primary voters that are saying no to Trump than there are Democrat voters saying no to Biden. Now that's significant because you got to, here's how it works. 30% are going to be Republican. 30% are going to be declared Democrat. And there are 40% of us in the middle that are giving the finger to both sides right now, both parties. If you strip off just a few percentage points from Trump's got 66% of his party's vote. Okay. Let's go back to Biden. Biden's got 80% of his party's votes. You are you starting to see the numbers that as long as Nikki Haley is in this race, she is showing the vulnerability of Trump to the Republican voting base. All right, he's killing the primary. He's winning every primary as soon as time's called. They're announcing him the winner before all the votes are counted. But winning in a primary election with the people that are supposed to like you is a whole lot different than winning in a general election when you've got independents involved. All right. Now, you also have to look at Trump's going to put his daughter in law, I believe, as the head of the Republican National Committee. And she said all the money's going to go to her father in law. That means a tremendous strain on the Republican Senate committee and the Republican House committee, the committee to elect Republican congressmen and senators. And that's going to suck a whole lot of money out of down ballot races. That's going to make down ballot people start going, look, chances are Trump's not going to win, but please make sure you vote for me. Even if you don't vote for him, make sure you're voting for me. They're going to get desperate down ballot the longer this goes. And I might as well just say it while we're here. Again, I don't think either one of them are going to be president of the United States. And I'm going to talk about Trump for just a moment. Objective political analysis and a little bit of legal analysis. I've got my Harvard Law shirt on. By the way, I did not go to Harvard Law. This was a token of esteem, I guess you might call it, or it was a gift from. I did a fundraiser. I did a fundraiser out there anyway. Fani Willis is the prosecutor in Fulton County, Atlanta, Georgia. And the case of election interference, the RICO case that involves Rudy Giuliani, etc., that is the case that Fani Willis is set to prosecute in front of the Fulton County Supreme Court, or not Supreme Court, but the top court in Fulton County. There are two levels of courts, and I can't think of what. Anyway, she has now jeopardized that case being heard before the November election, potentially, simply because she did not disclose an intimate relationship with someone she hired to work on the case. And when you're going at, Chris said this, when you're going after the former president of the United States and he has guns blazing, you need to have all your I's dotted and all your T's crossed. And especially a female in the black community, because the target is so desirable to be taken down. And having watched the entire hearing today, um, I think she's not going to get disbarred, but I think they're going to take this case away from her, and in so doing, um, if they don't do it, if they don't take the case, this has come up. They've asked for her to be removed. If they don't um, remove her, then the appeals will come from all 19 of the potential defendants, and the case is not going to be heard before November. Uh, if they do remove her, finding a fitting prosecutor from the region may be challenging and may cause and will cause delays. So it's imperative, as far as legally and the legal system, it's imperative this decision, uh, how this decision plays out in this case, because it can't move forward and, until there is a decision. Okay, that's just one of many things that could potentially keep Trump from becoming president. Um, I bring it up because we have seen a lot of gaffes, a lot of things from Trump that have caused people to question his um, his mental acumen, and it's possible. I'm going to throw this out. I threw it out to Chris earlier, and it left him speechless. Um, Meaning he didn't see that coming. Nobody's talked about this. Um, could Trump, by seemingly overnight becoming a babbling idiot, could he be laying a foundation for an eventual insanity plea that he is unfit to um, stand any trial and therefore cannot ever go to jail? Um, I'm going to say that's not out of the realm of possibility, even though I know probably 70% of the people that have heard me say that just now are going, wow, what a conspiracy theory. We're talking about Donald Trump. We're talking about him not wanting to go to jail. We're talking about 4 different cases. If it begins to look like there's no way he's going to win the presidency and be able to pardon himself, the choices are going to be civil war or him pleading insanity. Just something to think about. All right. Let me jump over and say again hello to everybody in the chat. Retro Survivor, thank you for being here. I will have a sample, Retro Survivor. I will have a sample soon. Um, I just learned that it's going to happen. So but I will have a sample soon. It is it is in no way, shape, or form similar to the original version that I did indeed sing on and play on. And I move around. I move around. If I move around too much, this auto adjusting camera freaks out. So I apologize. I'll try to stay. I don't know. Maybe it's better when I'm blurry. I think it is. Um, so let's jump into part 2 of Is Scientology Amway with aliens. And let's see. Let's start with um, let's start with Scientology and celebrities because um, and let me get myself off of here as far as there we go. So the bigger screen as possible. Um, Scientology and celebrities. I'm starting here tonight because personally, the only thing I really knew about Scientology, like I said, in the other night when we did part one, I had read part of Dianetics by L. Ron Hubbard when back when I was in college, and had given it away, and turned out I really offended the person I gave it to. That was never the intent. Anyway, the only thing I really knew about Scientology, because Scientology wasn't around then, Dianetics was, Scientology wasn't. Um, the only thing I knew was that that there were celebrities that were involved with it, and as far as the organization itself, it didn't seem like a lot of people talked about it. Um, L. Ron Hubbard created Project Celebrity, offering rewards to Scientologists who recruited targeted celebrities. Early interested parties included former silent screen star Gloria Swanson and jazz pianist Dave Brubeck. Scientology has a particular interest in international focus on wealthy business people and influencers to help promote its idea. Uh, Scientology policy letter of 1976. Okay, so Scientology was around because that's before I went to college. That rehabilitation of celebrities who are just beyond or just approaching their prime enables the rapid dissemination of Scientology. It operates special celebrity centers, the main one being in Los Angeles, others in Paris, Nashville, and elsewhere. One of the major purposes of Celebrity Center is to expand the number of celebrities. Because if it's something a celebrity does, then there are a lot of people that just automatically want to do it. Um, I felt that way about the Beatles when I was like 6 years old. I don't know if, I've ever really felt that way as far as uh, joining a cult. But anyway, celebrities are very special people and have a very distinct line of dissemination. They have communication lines that others do not have, and many medias to get their dissemination through. So, um, a focus on celebrities. Who are some of the celebrities? Christy Alley, Ann Archer, Catherine Bell, Nancy Cartwright. I think Nancy Cartwright does the Simpson voices, if I'm not mistaken. Erica Christensen, Chick Corea. Chick Corea is a jazz guitar player. Tom Cruise, no introduction there. Jason Doring, Jenna Elfman, Dougie Fresh, Isaac Hayes, um, Christopher Masterson, and Danny Masterson, um, Michael Pena, John Travolta, and Greta Van Susteren. Um, Now they've got Tom Cruise still in, but I've heard he's not in. But here's some that have left. So a lot of celebrity involvement. So we know that L. Ron Hubbard founded this, but who's really behind it now? That would be a guy named David Miscavige, I think is how it's said. And apologies if I'm mispronouncing that. David Miscavige. And let's just look at a couple of things here. Um, has Shelley Miscavige been found? And this is kind of interesting. She had been missing. After an investigation, however, the LAPD announced they had found her to be, quote, alive and safe, and were not pursuing a case against David over the missing wife. Nonetheless, her whereabouts have continued to be the subject of controversy, and Leah Romini has continued to question what happened to the woman she was described as her former friend. Um, we will touch a little bit deeper on Leah Romini's efforts here coming up. Did David Miscavige meet L. Ron Hubbard? At 16, Miscavige dropped out of high school and moved to the Scientology campus in Clearwater, Florida. He joined the church's elite C organization, SCA. Ron said that within 6 months, David was working alongside church founder L. Ron Hubbard as a cameraman on church films. So um, he is 63 years old, born in 1960. So he's been with the church since 1976. And they call it the church. I'm just going to call it the organization, the entity or um, movement. Who is the Scientologist that went missing? And again, that was Shelley Miscavige, and she has been found. Um, this there are terms that there are terms that um, kind of go throughout Scientology, and one of the terms is called an audit. Um, and let me see if we got this. Okay, yes, I do have it. All right. Um, this is from Scientology. All right, so this is them describing a Scientology audit. I'm not going to play it for you. Um, I'm just going to direct you to where you can find it. Um, what I have gleaned is that you are approached and by a recruiter, and the recruiter will um, ask questions, strike up a conversation, ask questions, probably form you, FORM, ask about your family, organizations, your religion, and your money, FORM. And if you give correct responses, they will try to get you to come to to their center. Now, once you get to that center, then the auditing begins. You are audited, um, and you're given a test and shown a movie, and from there, um, they decide whether you're worthy of being in or not. And I'm imagining, because I asked the question, is Scientology Amway with aliens? And Amway is a multi-level marketing concept. And is this not just a multi-level marketing concept, only under the guise of a religion that is basically based upon a philosophy or belief of aliens from 175 billion million years ago, whatever. Um, so that's how they kind of bring people in, as far as the way I understand it. Again, I'm not an expert on this, and this is not a Scientology channel, of course, you all know that. We're not going to be deep diving into this. This will probably not be the last episode with at least a segment on something related to Scientology, because again, a lot of people I've been associated with are becoming involved in efforts to stop this. And I want to take a top-down approach to stopping this, and would like to see people contacting their Congress people, their congressmen and women. I know there are a lot of important things Congress should be dealing with, but examining the organization itself and examining the removal of tax exempt status. Um, I'm pointing this out because this video only has 133 views, and I think it should have more. This is from the channel Daniel from Salem, and this is Laura FM describes the process of leaving Scientology. Laura FM is one of the more prominent um, live streamers in the LA area at the moment, and LA is one of, if not the leading place that is protesting. I know Portland. I know there are other areas that are being constantly um, audited, constantly, looked at, and questions asked about. And that's what, again, auditors keep track of you once you get into Scientology. And auditors are basically like the moral police, or the thought police, or the behavior police, because they don't want any Scientologist to go to the actual police about anything on another Scientologist. Okay, which leads to the child predator situations, which leads to the well, we'll get to that. But anyway, Laura FM, um, and I recommend you go watch Daniel from Salem's video from Laura FM. It's only at towards the end where she actually gets talking about um, actually leaving Scientology, and how you leave in layers, that that your head is still there, even though your body and everything is out of the cult. Your head is still in there for a while. You're still thinking that way, and until your thinking changes. And um, she also, she also talked about how, having been in since a kid, since a child, that they don't know how to operate in the actual real everyday world, because they've been always isolated and exposed, and basically groomed. Um, this is another video that I want to recommend. Again, I'm recommending videos because we're not going to dedicate the channel and go into deep dives and do episode after episode after episode. There are channels that are doing that, and I'm showing you what those channels are. So if you want to get more into it on your own, you'll be able to do it. Um, you'll notice the name Miscavige. This is Jenna Miscavige. She is she's the niece of um, the head honcho now, David Miscavige. And 3 days ago, she put out her first video. Um, a couple of things about this, even though she's not in the organization anymore, one thing I noticed is their eyes. Um, they almost look like they're, you know, I don't know. Um, it's not robotic, but it's almost like they've been hypnotized. So, I haven't seen a whole lot, but what I saw a couple of their eyes, primarily from Lori Arnold's stream in Austin, and they just look different. They looked, I don't know, they just looked like, you know, um, Manchurian candidate kind of thing. That, the lights are on, but nobody's home, or they've not necessarily that as much as they've got an assignment that um, is all encompassing to them, and maybe that is how they are. But I recommend you I recommend you go and listen to this in its entirety if you want to learn more. Um, but we're going to listen to just a couple of minutes of her first video after leaving.
Hello. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys tell me in the chat if you guys can hear me? Okay, good. Hi everyone. This is my first video, so I'm not actually 100% sure how to work everything on here, but so please bear with me. I'm really, really nervous, but hopefully I can get over it. um, Thank you so much for being here. Hi everyone. Um, okay, so I just wanted to start off by telling you a little bit about my motivation for having my channel. Um, and then later we can get to the Ask Me Anything part. Um, I'm not really somebody who gravitates towards doing videos naturally, so I'm a little shy, but I do care a lot about talking about Scientology, and that has always been really important to me. And so if I have to do videos in order to do that, then that's what I'm going to do. And watching everybody else have all the fun and talk about all the things that are important to me kind of leaves me feeling left out if I don't participate. Um, there are so many things happening in the Scientology world right now, or the anti-Scientology world, I should say, with the Squirrel Squad and the protests. And recently I've been lucky enough to meet some of the Squirrel Squad members, and I am just so inspired by their bravery, how people who were never in Scientology are willing to put their necks on the line for people who were. Um, it just means so much, and it inspires me to be more brave myself. Um, there's so many other things to talk about. There's the conversation surrounding Miriam Francis and how Scientology harms children and systematically covers up sexual abuse. Um, Miriam has my full support, and I'm inspired by her bravery as well, and how well spoken and dedicated she is to doing what she's doing. There's a lot of conversation surrounding the elderly abuse. There are OSA documents, which are extremely enlightening and extremely disturbing. There is so much to talk about. However, the aspect of Scientology that I feel the most passionate about is how it was growing up in Scientology, kids growing up in Scientology. Um,
So again, highly recommend you watch it. And again, I just played the first 3 minutes of this just to show you how real she really is. And I think it's much more impactful when you get the information from somebody who's actually been on the inside. And her uncle is the head honcho right now. Um, Again, if you want to know more about this and you want to keep up on what's going on, I've got two sites for you. This is Scientology Life After a Cult. This is Natalie, and Natalie um, grew up in a cult, grew up in this cult. Her mother was in the cult, her daughter was in the cult, and she now has a granddaughter who is the first in 3 generations not to be in Scientology. So again, she refers to her show as Life After a Cult. So um, I highly recommend watching her if you want to keep up on what's going on. And one of the other channels um, is Growing Up in Scientology. Okay, um, this is Natalie is Life After a Cult, and this is Aaron Smith Levin, and his channel is Growing Up in Scientology. We talked about him the other night. Um, Again, if you this is from 5 months ago, and an episode talking about Ashton Kutcher and how the different people in that 70s show responded to Danny Masterson. And if you don't know, Danny Masterson is currently serving 30 years to life uh, for raping 3 different women, drugging them and raping them. And Chrissy is one of those Jane Does that was talked about that back then. And again, I would recommend if you want to learn a little bit more, this would be a nice episode to watch. 36 minutes long, and Growing Up in Scientology. Um, and it's Aaron Smith Levin, and again, also Natalie, Scientology, Life After a Cult. I mentioned Leah Romini, and she has a multi-episode documentary, Scientology and the Aftermath, and there's just one season of it. It's 5 episodes, or I guess it's 8 episodes long. Okay, so there are 3 episodes I wasn't aware of. And one of the episodes is about the auditing, which we were talking about earlier. So um, there are going to be terms that are specific to this group, and specific meanings. And auditing is going to be something that if you you begin to dig in, you're going to hear more and more and more. I got one more quick segment here. We're going to look at the bookmarks, just a couple of things in the bookmarks real quick. But in the meantime, I'm going to pop back over here to the chat and say hello to Patton McCrotch. Good to see you. Okay. Hello, Pat Tolliver. And okay. Thank you. Not going away, for dropping the channels. Thank you for everything you do always. My mods are awesome. Okay. Don't seem to have anything as far as okay. Nancy McMonarch, energy doesn't die, it dissipates. Okay. She's going to basically stay around Oakland after she goes. I admire that. I admire somebody that loves their area so much that they are proud of where they're at, you know. Barry, the children have to audit adults. Okay, I don't know that much about it. Thank you, Lori, for letting me know. So the one of the things apparently is that children are the same as adults. They're just children, or they're just adults in small bodies, and children, um, therefore, are responsible for their actions because they're just thetans, like everybody else. They're just in a smaller body, and yeah, audit. Um, Question. Bring about accountability. Um, Again, like think thought police or behavior police or um, moral police. A way of a again, this is a multi-level situation. There's one at the top, and then there are a couple, and then there are a whole bunch down here at the bottom, and you have to pay your way up or serve your way up. And the majority of people who are down at the bottom don't know the truth about everything until they get to a higher level. And a lot of times, once they get to that higher level, they find out what the truth is. They're like, "What? Yeah, are you kidding me?" This and they go and they jump ship, and they start talking about what's really going on in the organization. We're at that point now where a lot of high level people are talking, and it's again, it's coming up more and more in my timelines. So we will be, we're not going to become a Scientology channel by any stretch of the imagination, but um, we will be doing segments in the episodes coming up, I'm sure. Like, um, especially with what happens with Defender of Ants. I mean, no friend of the show or anything, but at the same time, a significant persona, uh, has history with the channel that we will, if something positive happens, we'll report on it. If something negative happens, we'll report on it. Lori Arnold, very much a friend of the show. If she does anything at all regarding, you know, bringing awareness to what Scientology is, we will be reporting on it. And if significant things happen, we'll report on it. But we're not going to be, um, having a nightly segment or anything. Um, but hopefully we can um, somehow centralize an effort to have people contact their Congress people, um, and have this entity investigated with the intent of removing um, tax exempt status by declaration of it being a. And again, you know, if my timeline doesn't have Scientology in it, it's got some um, youth minister or somebody that's committed pedophilia, and um, it's getting to the point where the word church doesn't mean much anymore. And I'll just leave it at that. All right, one more quick segment here. Um, we got to look at our bookmarks. We got to look at our bookmarks real quick. Um, this was Donald Trump earlier. Um,
Right now, in a number of states, the laws allow a baby to be born from his or her mother's womb in the 9th month. It is wrong. It has to change.
Again, could it be that eventually we hear um, the former president doesn't have his full mental capacities, and therefore um, we ask that there be no trials um, due to insanity? Lauren Boebert again. We had her washing her feet in the sink the other day. It wasn't about her washing her feet. It was about the pose she was making, trying to get people to vote for, trying to get men to vote for. She says, I found this, yes, oddly specific, because back in 2016, I was actively involved in politics in 2016. I was a candidate for Congress. There were stories that Ted Cruz was involved with. Ted Cruz had an account. He actually said it was one of his staffers, but the account traced back to Ted Cruz, actual Senate office. Ashley Madison, I think is the name of the group, and Ted Cruz had an account there. And now, 8 years later, Lauren Boebert says, contrary to popular belief, I have never been an escort for Senator Ted Cruz. So does this mean you've been an escort for somebody else? Does this mean you're trying to get clout by actually admitting to something that you haven't been accused of? Or is there a buzz around DC? And just so you know,
about Ted Cruz lately in the news, and contrary to popular belief, I have never been an escort for Senator Ted Cruz. But I will tell you tonight, it is the coolest thing I've ever heard about Ted Cruz.
Okay, so there's the thing in its entirety. I don't get it. Last thing I'm going to say when I'm running for Congress is that, it's funny that people think I'm a hoe. Oh, okay. Sorry. This comes from the Prime Minister, the 29th Prime Minister of Australia. Quote, when you see Trump with Putin, as I have on a few occasions, he's like the 12-year-old boy that goes to high school and meets the captain of the football team. My hero. It's really creepy. Now, the majority of people that support Donald Trump have never met Donald Trump. A lot of them haven't even ever been in the same room as Donald Trump. This is a guy that spent some significant time as another leader. And that's another thing. You hear Trump people say Trump is, the world thinks Trump's a strong leader. They really don't. And again, I'm one of that 40% that's in the middle, giving the finger to both other parties. But at some point, the intelligent part of those that support Trump has to overweigh the anger and hate or whatever, because I understand you being honked off at the country. I get that. I don't get you thinking Trump's the answer.
When you see Trump with Putin, as I have on a few occasions, he's like the 12-year-old boy that goes to high school and meets the captain of the football team. My hero. It is really creepy. It's really creepy. Now, I don't...
Okay, so he said really creepy twice. This is troubling. This is from yesterday. Communists marching in Brooklyn, New York City. Not something that necessarily thought I'd see or want to see. Not sure. I'm just. I guess the best thing to say about this is just a statement of how divisive things have become in our country. Um, Trump is not well and is unfit to be president. He's becoming more demented, unhinged, angry, incoherent, no train of thought, slurring his words, forgetting his family members. Skin pigmentation is sickly, nose is caving in, appears to have nasal flaring. Comedian Noel Castler says he snorts Adderall, and Castler, again a comedian, says he snorts Adderall as his maintenance high. When he gets too wired, he's tempered with benzodiazepines. There's also robust use of cocaine and methamphetamine in the Trump orbit, and I'll leave it at that, end quote. Then this person noticed that from this picture, his nose appears to be caving in. Okay, I'm not gonna get on the Adderall and cocaine thing, even though we had a clip at one time of what appeared to be a big chunk of white something coming out of his nose that was a solid and wasn't chopped up enough, allegedly. Again, I'm going to point this part out, that he's not well, becoming more demented, unhinged, angry, incoherent. And just remember, you heard it here first. If push comes to shove and it looks like there's no way he's going to be able to get out of going to jail, don't be surprised if they don't use the insanity card and point to everything he's been saying. Even though he may not like it, they'll do it for his own good to keep him out of jail. I'm just saying. Michelle Steele, a Republican congresswoman from California, is sponsoring a bill to ban all abortions nationwide and ban IVF nationwide, even though she had her kid through IVF. There's a saying that the laws are for thee, not for me. Once she got what she wanted, she wants to make sure nobody else gets it. That's how this kind of looks. Again, I understand people wanting to keep their guns, even though nobody, 8 years Obama never took anybody's guns. I understand everybody wants to keep their guns. I understand everybody wants to believe what they want to believe religiously. But at some point, you got to go, man, what is the Republican Party trying to do? And this is one of those points where you go, man, what is the Republican Party trying to do? Yes, those were Nazi salutes. Yes, these are NBC News produced receipts that Nazis were openly mingling at the CPAC event this weekend, flashed Nazi salute, and exposed anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, quote unquote. So be careful what you wish for. If you're unhappy with the current government, you can change bad laws, but you can't replace democracy once it gets taken away. And I don't like seeing this. This is a sign of wanting democracy taken away from the left, just as bad as the signs from people wanting Trump to be king and to get rid of all laws except whatever Trump says. Those of us in the middle, are really concerned about what's going on the left and the right. Again, here's the thing I was talking about earlier. You can see the white chunk come flying out of his nose. And also, this was a while back, and his nose doesn't look like it's as caved in. So maybe there is something. Maybe there is something to that. Um, and just in case you missed it last night, Matt Rosendale dropped out of the Senate race in Montana after getting his 20-year-old aide pregnant, demonstrating one of the very few times a man's career options have been limited by an unplanned pregnancy. And he's married, Republican, served as head of his local church, 63 years old. So, um, those of you that doubt those of us in the male category over 60, take that. Sorry, the crap's just so crappy that I got to try to make myself laugh every once in a while just to kind of keep on keeping on. We got the current choices we have for president. Again, I don't think either one of them are going to be president, and we got a lot of stuff going on. Not even talking about the fact that I haven't mentioned it, but the government will probably shut down on Friday, even though it doesn't have to be that way. A lot of people will potentially be put in a crimp. Um, Depends on how deep the shutdown goes, how long the shutdown goes, and what the shutdown entails. Um, but that could be coming up this Friday. Chris is going to be on tomorrow night at 9 o'clock, and you can come on with us if you so desire. Hopefully, you will. And a couple of things we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the Fannie Willis case in Georgia. We're going to talk about Cam Newton, the NFL quarterback that got jumped in Atlanta, Georgia. We might just have an all Atlanta show tomorrow night. We won't, but we will have an Atlanta centric one. All right, let's go back and check the primary results here. At the moment, Biden has 80%. Again, 13.9 voted uncommitted. This is a protest vote. This is a vote to show Biden that his policies, the administration's policies, as they are being played out with Israel, are unacceptable to Michigan. A lot of Michigan has a large Muslim population, especially around Dearborn. So that's where that 13.9% comes from. But he has 80% of the Democratic vote. That vote is 257,000 now. Just went up. Let's check and see where Donald Trump is at. He's at 349,000, 67% of the vote. So a lot more Republicans coming out to vote in Michigan than Democrats. But again, Democrats aren't really motivated to vote in the primary because it's determined who the nominee is going to be. If you believe the traditional playbook, I don't. I think he wins the nomination, it gets to the convention, and that's when the shenanigans happen. Friday night at 9 o'clock, I'm going to have some former delegates of Democratic conventions, and we're going to discuss this. So I hope you join me for that. But Trump has 67% of the vote. Again, Haley had almost 40% in her home state. She has 27% here, but a total of about 33% of the vote is against. That's 1/3 of those that are coming out in the Republican primary. 1/3 of them are saying no to Donald Trump. Trump is the presumptive nominee. He ought to be getting 80 to 90% like Biden is, but he's not. These numbers will matter. They'll get overlooked because this is a primary, but the voting populace in a general election is much different than that in a primary. Hello, Crash. Do you see that the time is short? Bread and games. Okay, go to school. I am concerned that our time is short. I really am. I've talked about it before on here. I'm incessantly telling people to, be prepared to take care of yourself, be prepared to look after yourself and those around you, um, and be prepared to do it for longer than just a day or two. Make sure you got some way of having fresh water. Make sure you got some food for yourself, for your kids, for your animals. Um, Make sure you've got some medical supplies. Make sure you got some way of trying to communicate, because information, especially since we are so preconditioned living in an information age, to suddenly have no information is going to decimate a lot of people. So something could happen at any time. We're going to have a cyber attack at some point. We might be physically attacked at some point, whether it come from within or without. We've got an awful lot of migrants in our country that we do not have backgrounds on. We've got sleeper cells that have been in our country for decades. There's a lot of things that could potentially happen, as well as we've got natural disasters, including possibly tornadoes heading towards me right now. So, yeah, I do worry about our time being short. I'm concerned about it, but at the same time, um, the only thing we can do is prepare. Try to prepare physically, meaning have ourselves in fairly good shape and have supplies to physically maintain. Like I said, water, food, medical supplies. If you need, medications, whatever. Be prepared physically. Be prepared mentally, emotionally, spiritually. There are a lot of levels of being prepared, because if you wake up one day and all of a sudden there are no lights, no phone, no motor car, not a single luxury, you're living on Gilligan's Island, you don't have a professor there that can make a radio out of a coconut, you're going to be on your own, or you're going to have to either survive with or defend yourself from those around you, potentially. Um, Having a mental picture in your head of what am I going to do if that does happen could be beneficial when and if it did happen. Just, something to think about. Um, okay. So I'm going to end with, again, in case you just joined us, that I have a song coming out, and it's not me singing, not me playing. Um, it is my lyrics interpreted by a different group, and it's going to drop on the 19th of March as of now. We'll talk about it. I'll try to have a sample maybe sometime next week, if I can, figure out how to get it to where you can hear it on here. Um, so Biden and Trump both win the Michigan primaries. No surprises there. Nikki Haley will probably have enough money to get by till next Tuesday, which is Super Tuesday. And we're going to talk about the insides of political conventions Friday night at 9 o'clock. I'm going to have 3 or 4 special guests on with me. Chris will be back with me tomorrow night at 9. We're going to talk about a few different things. And if there's something you'd like to talk about, please feel free to come up and join us. The link will be up tomorrow night. That starts at 9 o'clock Eastern. 8 o'clock Central, 7 o'clock Mountain, and 6 in the Pacific. So until then, I will say namaste. Love y'all. Thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for being here. Wish you nothing but peace and blessings and positive thoughts. Try to be a light. It is a dark world, and we need lights. And if you're light for yourself, you're going to be a light for somebody else. Light attracts light, and light overcomes darkness. So it is a dark world, getting darker all the time. Try to be a light. Thanks for being here. Thanks for clicking on. Hit the like, subscribe, and share. And we'll see you Wednesday night at 9.